What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thank you for joining again. Got a headline here, got me interested, got me amped up. Breaking headline here. So I am live right now. Thanks for joining. If you could stop on by, I call it just pop-up lives. It's like, hey, how you doing this morning? Stuck in the middle is live. I wish I could plan it out, but here we go. Breaking news. West escorted from YAF event. Police, IRATE mob chases and assaults conservative student. In a dramatic scene at the University of Buffalo, a leftist mob forced Allen West to be escorted out by police from his campus lecture. As nearly 200 gathered outside the venue, chanting and eventually chasing conservative students. According to the footage, and I'm going to play some of this footage here, according to the footage obtained by the Young America's Foundation, that's the YAF, Allen West was escorted out by several police officers into a squad car to his hotel, facing screaming leftists who attempted to disrupt their event featuring him, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. The event was part of the YAF's Preserving American Liberty and Freedom lecture series. Leftists even attempted to break down the doors. You'll see this on the video here that I'll play in a second. It was a wild scene. The speech went on peacefully, but leftists attempted to take charge of the Q&A session, which is when the situation devolved. It became a tug of war with the microphone as vitriolic leftists attempted to hijack the conversation and flung insults at West. Therese Purcell, and you'll see this also in the video, was chased by the mob into the men's bathroom. She shared her thoughts. She said, "I am unbelievably disturbed that I was chased by a leftist mob and scared for my life on my college campus, all for hosting Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, a conservative speaker. I was aggressively chased by about 200 angry protesters and had to hide in a men's bathroom from screaming leftists who were searching for me. The assault on free speech at University of Buffalo by an angry mob is incredibly unacceptable." The takeaway that they had here was, this is the reason why we need to be on the campus. So many times throughout the night, they were worried about the physical safety of West and the other members of the YAF on the Buffalo campus. I'm going to play a little bit of a video here and talk about it more. And I'm a big, I don't know how to even say this kind of stuff, supporter. I just like Allen West's presence and his approach. And I'll play a little video here of what happened. If you don't know his history, he's not afraid. Let me just say that. He served this country and really has even been put under fire by our own country for some of the acts he's done while serving our country. This type of thing for him is, it just rolls off his back. He does not have any concern, in my opinion, about doing this. He has no fear. And it's important that we have leaders that are able to stand up like this, like Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, whether I agree or agree with his takes.
Black lives! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
So understand, hopefully that's not too loud. Sorry about the volume there. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West is a black man. And they're protesting him by yelling, "Black Lives Matter." And later on in the video, this is why I did the thumbnail, they said, "I'm black and I'm proud." These young men and women, when I was the age of college age people, so I assume they're all college age, they look like that. I was a lost guy. I was trying to find my way in the world, and they probably are as well. And we have to understand that they're completely lost. I mean, there can't be anything more lost than yelling "Black Lives Matter" in protest of a black man speaking. Like something is obvious. There's obvious disconnect there that needs to be resolved. And I don't want to speak poorly of them because my views were completely different. I don't even remember all my views. I was still forming my views at that age, at the age that they're at. But I do want to be honest with them. You're not proud of being black. I don't even look at the world like that. So I'm just analyzing them and their worldview. You're not proud of being black. That's not how this is not how you act proud. Whatever that means, that's not how you act proud of being black. But I'll tell you what I think it means.
No justice! No peace! No justice! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
So they're banging on the doors outside of where he's speaking on the campus.
I'm not here to really get an answer because it seems like you have no type of answers for any of these questions.
Yeah.
That's a lot, so I'm not even mad for real. But you talked a lot about the fact that the reason why America is losing its values, that's because of two-parent households and you're fatherless, whatever the hell you talk.
So we're at the point of the movie where we have black students on campus protesting a black man who says, I believe we need a black father and mother in a household. That's literally what's happening. This young woman, the audio's not great. She's going after Alan West for saying, I think we need a father and a mother in our households. She's protesting him, attacking him, and that's fine. You can question him, but we're at that point of the movie where saying that I think a man and a woman, ideally, not even attacking if you don't have that. That's not what he's doing. He's saying ideally that's what you would want in a household. That is considered a radical position. And Alan West has literally lost his black card with these people. So what I am getting from this, with them black and I'm proud and Black Lives Matter and just attacking him, not even really thinking about the content of his message. What I get from that is these people here view being black as the same as being a Democrat. If Colonel Alan West was wearing a dress, if he was up on the podium talking about how oppressed we are as black people, he would have been applauded. So I'm not saying they have to applaud him here now. I'm just wondering why we can't respect both positions, especially if you don't attack the other. If Alan West was up there attacking people for their identity, I'd be completely like, I'm not for it. I wouldn't be doing all this nonsense, but I would still say, hey, that's not the way to go. And I talk about that. That's where I disagree with, even though I think Bryson Gray is great, for example, that's where we diverge. I'm not attacking anybody for their identity. That's just not me. I don't think that's God's way. We got a different interpretation on that. But that's not what he's doing. That's not his position. Let's play a little bit more here, and I'll get into the chat. Thanks for everybody stopping by Pop Up Live.
But I want to ask you a question.
Your job is not necessary.
Okay, anyways, I want to ask you a question. Do you know
being here
why
was unnecessary, but
households
sure.
are missing black fathers?
Yeah.
Understand how the government plays into mass incarceration? Do you know how that evolves into one parent?
So she's trying to say how the government plays into mass incarceration and the reasoning for, some of these issues.
All right, so how can you stand there saying that, because they don't have these fathers, that's why the American, whatever the case is, and then you also ignore the fact that non-traditional households exist. So how can you say that for people who have, let's say, two moms, or maybe one mom, or whatever the case is? How can you stand there and say that you're missing fathers? Like, how can you stand there and say that? And also,
So she's talking about there's alternative households like two moms and all that. And for me, I didn't hear the audio's not great, but for me, I have nothing against that. I'm talking about, hey, what we want is young men and women to be thinking long-term about marriage and finances and a lot of the issues that we have, and I'm not right now, I'm not talking about black people, I'm just talking about in general, is thinking too short term. Just like I'm in the sheets with this person, I'm not going to put on the Jimmy hat. So it's just feeling too good right now. So boop, a year later, you got a baby. And you're like, I really wasn't feeling this person. It was just right after the club or whatever. And now you're in the situation. Not that that can't work out. That's not what the thing. It's like, just think long term.
Also, excuse me, I'm not done yet. And also, like, can you, as a black man, because let's be honest, you are a black man, how can you stand in a room full of a lot of oppressors and validate your experiences and ignore the struggle of your own people? And as Americans exceptional, why is it that lynching literally just became illegal? Like, just now.
As you can tell, she doesn't want to give him a chance to answer. Just my interpretation. She's still asking questions. I'll skip ahead because the audio is not great on that part. And so I'll just skip ahead to some of the other parts of the protest here. With this part I'm skipping to are some of the members, and some of them are white, coming out, and they are members of this YAF organization, and they're getting chanted down.
No peace! No racism! No peace! No justice! No peace! No racism! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Say it loud! I'm black and I'm proud! Say it loud! I'm black and I'm proud! Say it loud! I'm black and I'm proud! Say it loud! I'm black and I'm proud!
There's always something funny and odd in these videos. I don't know if you caught this, and maybe you might have seen this on Twitter. I tweeted this, and some people were looking at it. Is that Spiderman? What is going on? Like, bro, we need you right now. That's the back of the head right there that you see is Alan West's head in the foreground here. In the background, am I crazy? Is that somebody dressed up in a Spider-Man costume? I thought these kids were lost, but man, when you start talking about this furry stuff, and I'm almost worried about my little kids watching some of these cartoons now. I'm like, man, I'm getting a little shook. Seriously, I'm getting a little shook. Like, why is somebody in a Spider-Man costume right now? Like, what is going on? I hear a lot of pain in the voices there, and it's coming out in this way. And I've been kind of going back and forth with some people on the channel in the chats talking about Donald Trump, and they view Donald Trump as an existential threat to America. And I'm like, fine, I'm not trying to force anybody to agree with Trump or not, and I only go issue by issue because I'm not going to blanketly agree with Alan West or Trump or anybody. But to think that Trump is the existential threat to the United States is just bizarre. The threat's right here. You've got people who have taken a protest and they've gone way too far with it. Let me show you some other clips why I say it's gone. So right there, not for me, but I don't think it's necessarily gone way too far. But here's the clip where I read in the article there that one of the members got chased out. So she's literally out there and she got chased. It's hard to see, but this is the clip where Therese, I forget her name. I just want to make sure I do it justice to her name. Therese Purcell is getting chased by this mob. So it's not just a peaceful thing. This is not peace right here.
We have school. Yes. You're a loser, and the rest of you need one. They're going after Therese. I know.
So they literally went after Therese there.
Thank you.
So somebody there is recording. Everybody's recording, but the person who is recording is not down with them. I think they were a member of the YAF. And of course, they came up, and I don't know if it was a punch or couldn't tell a slap, but it looked like a minor assault there. But people say minor assault, that's how things escalate. You might have, motions high, you do a minor little Will Smith type of binkums, and then something else might come back. So I don't look at stuff like, oh, it's just a minor push or assault. No, I could feel like my life is threatened. I could push back. I don't want anything bad to happen, but that's what happened really with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Kyle's like, hey, I'm not here to do anything, but you keep coming at me. I'm going to have to defend myself. There's no minor thing here. There should be no physical no physical contact either way with YAF or these mindless zombies. So I think this is the threat to America, is not being able to agree to disagree. That's a threat. Because what you're using Trump as is somebody who completely disagrees, and people who follow him completely disagree with this whole garbage here. And you say, well, I want to make you agree. This isn't about a debate. To them, being black means being a Democrat and then also being oppressed. So when the title of the speech Allen West was talking about was here, is something to the effect of America is not a racist country. And that is like clickbait, in my opinion. I'll talk about that here in a second. But the problem they're having is, remember, I took this clip because it keeps coming up. Hopefully this works here. This clip from Facts, that says it right there. Your facts ain't facts without censoring. And this position here is not facts. It's opinions of this, this social justice left mob. I really call them zombies or lemmings. They're like controlled. I mean, you could almost look at them and see like they're remote controlled by whatever the establishment position is. And their reality, just like Brian Stelter yesterday, I'm a great journalist and I'm this proud person and I have all these morals and I have all this credibility. That's not real life. And where they're living is not real life. When Allen West comes in, it's almost like somebody saying, here's real life. And they don't want to be in real life. These are the same people who are going to ask in 4 years to have their student debt paid off. They don't want reality. We're obedient. Do this for us. We were told to go to college. We did it. We were told to believe in Black Lives Matter. We did it. We were told to make white people guilty for whatever you want to make them guilty for. We did it. We were told to take down the white male as some icon to be taken down, and we did it. We were told that we were oppressed and to bask in our oppressiveness and how tough things are and how bad America is and how triggered we should be at the flag and we shouldn't celebrate July 4th. And we did all that. So we want something in return type of stuff. And when Allen West comes there, that's real life. That's like waking up in the morning to an ice cold bucket of water in your face. And they don't want to face that. And their reality can't stand. So they have to shut him up. It's a lot going on here. And I don't know, I don't know if I'm even come up with a solution here or whatever, but it's just, that's what I see happening in our country. So Allen West gets protests, and I will get to the comments here. Sorry about that. But I just want to do this here. Allen West, so who's Allen West? What is he like? Let me show you a clip from when he was on with Tim Pool. He was on with Tim Pool twice, within the last year, and he's excellent and all the time. But that was a great discussion. So I'll skip around on this one and play a couple more clips here.
This is the downfall of an authoritarian regime. It restrains and restricts creativity.
Yep.
And we saw that, that was one of the things about our military as opposed to the Soviet model style, is that our young troops could make a decision. Our young troops were trained. When you think about, all of the wars, it's a sergeant here, it's a corporal there that is able to do something, whereby when you have that authoritative system, and that was the big problem we had in Afghanistan in training their army.
So the reason I'm playing this clip, he's talking about authoritarianism, even within the military, which is very, unusual to hear a military person question the authoritarianism in the military, because it really is literally an authoritarian kind of group, organization from top down. But my point with this is He's talking about being against authority, basically against being against authority. And those young men and women chanting, "I'm black and I'm proud," they think they're going against authority, but they're not. They're going with authority on this one. So they don't understand what swimming upstream is, downstream. They think this is their protest. They think they're the opposition. And Alan West is talking about the real authority here and how to be a free thinker. And this is what they're protesting. They don't want to hear this.
Was that even if they were in a firefight with the Taliban, they wouldn't take an action. And I said, well, what are you doing? Well, I have to wait for the call from my commander to do something. I said, they're shooting at you, okay? Take an action.
Yeah.
And that was something that they had to learn, but they grew up under that Soviet mentality. So
Well, that's happening now.
It is happening
Here
now.
in the
So an
US.
authoritarian regime, like what you see taking place here, where it's telling you what you can wear, what you can eat, what you can think, what you can drive. It may sound, again, free does not equal freedom.
I've hired.
So those students are basically feeding into that narrative of authority. Like Alan West is anti the establishment group, so you must silence him. There's no one who's with the establishment that those people would be passionate enough about to silence. If Nancy Pelosi went onto that campus, one of the most, in my opinion, legal, not illegal, legally corrupt politicians in the history that I followed, at least, doing things up on the up and up, not illegal, but very corrupt, in my opinion, and not a public servant. She could go to that campus and speak, and she would get cheers. But they yell "black and proud" when a black man is speaking against this establishment group.
People, and I'll tell you the story. I'll give you the story from a buddy of mine. He started.
So I'll go to another clip. Tim Poulin that was talking about the college mindset and how somebody was hiring people with a college degree and they didn't know how to work independently. And then they eventually just said, hey, I don't need an degree, $10 an hour. And those people were working more critically thinking, solving problems on their own. That's not what college. K through 12 is not really about critical thinking anymore. It's about, here's the narrative. How do you fit into it? That's what being an ally is to them. Is like, here's the narrative. Do you fit into it? Yes. Whether you fit in this identity group or not. So that's how you say a white male can fit into these identity groups, is by being an ally. This is one of the most legendary clips of Alan West that I know of. I love this clip right here.
Identify as black? No, it's a serious question because you might not identify. Can you please put the mic? Thank you.
Colonel West, what do you enjoy about being dark-skinned?
Do you identify as black?
Do you identify as black? I'm darker than you. Like, are we the same, or like? So if somebody asks me that if I identify as black, my answer is literally I don't care. I mean, it's become a social construct, so it's really up to whoever the opinion is of the person watching. So if I dap up, or if I in hypothetical, just some person who agrees with me politically, they probably would view me as black. But if you probably don't view me as black. So what do you want me to answer the question for? What does it even matter what I think? You're the one that's going to decide.
No, it's a serious question because you might not identify. Can you please put the mic? Thank you.
See, there's an anger there. What is she angry about? That's deep. What are you hurt about? Why are you scared? Something's there. You see her mannerism. No, give me the mic back. What are you angry about? Who are you angry at?
Can you please put the mic? Thank you. Okay.
When I walked into the room,
I am not done with my question.
Hey, young lady.
I'm just asking you to listen to me while I ask my
I'm about
question.
to answer the
Okay,
first question.
But I didn't finish my question.
Okay. Yeah, I'm black.
Less than
I wouldn't even answer that. Irrelevant. Next question.
9% of the people in this room are black, and we're all not here for you. Do you think there are racial inequalities in America? And how do you feel about Trump increasing both economic inequality and discrimination for people of color and LGBTQ people?
I find it so interesting that LGBT has now been equated with black. Like why are they even, and that's for them. I don't care about breaking up groups at all, but on their side, they have been very careful. And that's what happened with the Dave Chappelle stuff, is Dave Chappelle is an identitarian with just black people. And you can tell, in my opinion, he doesn't like the conflating the LGBTQ stuff with the black stuff. And that's where that intersectionality battle came with Dave Chappelle. But you see, this is very common. You don't really even see black brought up. Black Lives Matter. They talked about all LGBTQ. I'm fine if that's what you believe. I'm just wondering. It's curious how they have become conflated now.
Inequality and discrimination for people of color and LGBTQ people. What about violence against marginalized people in the United States? Can you talk about that?
Well, the subject was about, national security and foreign policy. But I will tell you that I think in the minority community and the black community, I think they're pretty happy that unemployment isn't at an all-time low in the United States of America for Hispanic and black communities. And that's the truth. As a matter of fact, overall unemployment is an all-time low. So if you want to break the pay gap or racial inequality gap, the most important thing is my parents taught me, who were black, born and raised down south, was about equality of opportunity and not equality of outcomes. I would challenge you to read the book by a black man by the name of Booker T. Washington called Up From Slavery, okay?
That's funny, because W.E.B. Du Bois is much better at describing.
We just had this discussion on the channel with W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. And famously, W.E.B. Du Bois made popular this concept of the talented 10th. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining. If you missed the video, if you go back just a couple videos ago, I have a video called The Talentless 10th. And she's going down the route of W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington. It's very interesting.
The racial inequalities in America that you are denying that happen now. And to say that, we are better and unemployment is down is dismissing the fact that a lot of LGBTQ people are in trouble right now because of your administration. And a lot of black
I'm not
people.
in administration. I'm just a guy.
I mean,
here.
you are supporting the administration, though, aren't you?
I'm not speaking for the administration.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know that.
I'm just a private citizen. I'm just Joe Sixpack.
Okay, I have a second question. I'm sorry for my tone. Previously, I was just frustrated.
That's okay. I have 2 daughters. They talk to me like that.
Love this moment.
Thank you. My question
But
is.
I cut them off with their allowance.
Well, you don't have that ability here.
I know.
My question is about national security, because I do feel like the KKK and white nationalists are threats to black individuals in the United States. There have been multiple shootings recently within the last 10 years, and there have been an increase of violence against black people.
You see how effective the indoctrination is, the political brainwashing. When the government says, and Joe Biden says, white supremacy, and he had that speech. I wish I kept that clip where he almost was like, "Ooh, there it is," and I'm like, "Duh, what?" He almost like, "Oh my God, there's a KKK member behind the corner." Man, shut the hell up. That's not, and even if there are, let's move smart. I'm not going to be walking around scared. You are really letting this affect your life. They're using fear to control people like this young lady.
And I wanted to know if you think that that's a national security issue and how you would address that.
Yeah, I think it's a national security issue right here in the south side of Chicago, where you have a combat zone going on, and Rahm Emanuel and everyone just seems to not care, or as well as in Baltimore or other places. And that's black on black crime. That's not KKK or whatever.
What about white on black crime?
See, the black on black, it doesn't hit the same way, because it's like, oh, we might have to look at where we live, and I can't control other black people, but I might have to say, I got to get out of here. It's like it puts the onus on you. She's been indoctrinated that the onus has to be on the government to save your life. The government has become God in that scenario.
Sorry, but that's what I was asking.
Oh, okay. Well, then, have you ever heard of Margaret Sanger?
You can't just give one example
You know where he's going with this. Who's killed more black people?
for
Well,
simple-
Margaret Sanger and the organization that she founded since 1973, almost 17 million unborn black babies have been murdered by that organization. I think that's something that we should really be concerned about. The fact that the United States government gives $568.7 million to an organization that was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, a person that spoke at Klan rallies, that referred to blacks as undesirables and weeds, I would join forces with you in a heartbeat to say that we need to cut off funding to an organization like that called Planned Parenthood. That 50, well, I don't think we give taxpayer money to the Ku Klux Klan.
terrorist organization
Well,
that has not been targeted by the FBI.
well, yeah, they have. The FBI goes after white supremacist organizations, but then I would ask you, why is it that nobody goes after Antifa? I mean, I think Antifa is also a domestic terrorist organization. I mean, look at what they have done at certain colleges and universities to prevent people from going out there and freely speaking. So let's call a ball and a strike. And so there are many organizations out there that we need to be targeting. But I will tell you, first and foremost, we shouldn't give $568.7 million to an organization like that. And if you do some research, I think between 50 to 55% of Planned Parenthood clinics are in black communities. That's a travesty.
So that's what they don't want shown at these events. I don't agree necessarily completely with Allen West and all that. He's pro-life legislation, as far as legislatively. I am not. To me, that is bodily autonomy and a woman's choice. So I don't agree. Personally, in my personal life, I am pro-life, and I would hope, but it wouldn't even be my decision. Say, hypothetically, I was a teenager, and in high school or college or whatever, and my girlfriend gets pregnant. In my personal life, I would want to be pro-life and try to say, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do this, and we can do this. We can make this happen. I don't want to, have to do this to the child. But ultimately, to me, that's the woman's choice. So I don't agree with him, but I agree with him in theory, in general about Planned Parenthood, though. But I just think it should still be legal, or it should really be up to the states. Each state should be able to decide that. I think that's the right way to handle that. As far as I'm going to get to the comments in a second. As far as the title, America's Not Racist, that to me, that is clickbait. And so what? He can do that. The reason why I say that's clickbait is, what does that mean? What does it mean America is racist or is not racist? I don't even have an answer to that question because I would have to define it. Is it emotion? Are you just going by emotion? Or either way, are you just emotionally saying America is not racist, or are you emotionally saying it is? I need to know what your definition is. So for a social justice warrior, they look at any type of statistical disparity between races as proof of racism. I don't look at it like that. So if they look at it like that and say America's racist, I'm like, okay, to you, America's racist. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Is there any country in the world that's not racist? So I don't even look at it like that because I don't even speak the same language as far as people. Is there racism in America? Of course, there's racism everywhere. That's just human nature. Black people racist. There's racists of every single background. So that topic doesn't really move me at all. So let me go to the comments and I'll be out. Dina Marie Bishop, Sarah and the Darren Monir, thank you. Friends of show all in here. Dina Marie says Planned Parenthood doesn't care about women's health. They sell baby body parts. It's a big business all about the money. Yep, absolutely. And I think to me, the right way is like what Allen West did there, is expose it and let people make their own decisions on what they do. Yeah, I'm always bumping into the Triple K every time I go out. The local store is always out of pillowcases. Thank you, M Ball. Thank you for that. It's just, yeah, it's like, come on, man. Don't try to scare me with this. And then passing an anti-lynching bill. Like, is lynching a problem? Like, I don't even understand it's just another virtue signal, of course. Steve Johnson, thanks for stopping by. Historically, it's as if identitarianism is a major, central, insoluble component of the Democrat Party or the contemporary liberal mindset, even since the inception of the party itself. Absolutely. Ever since the beginning of the party, it has been an integral, they've evolved it, but it's been an integral piece. And ironically, the KKK is, in my opinion, if it's still around, it was a strong arm of the Democrat Party in the South to keep blacks in line. They got smarter and said, well, we're not going to do KKK to keep black people in line and lockstep with the party. We'll do ideology. Ideology is way more powerful than violence, way more powerful than guns and threats and violence. Dina Marie says, people of color in my family don't support the progressive agenda, and a lot of people don't. That's what this is about, too. When you look at the common person, maybe with the younger people, I don't know, I have to look at polling. Not that polling is everything, but I think more with younger people that they would support this Black Lives Matter, all this kind of stuff. But I think with older, maybe 40 or older, 35 or older, I don't think that stuff polls well. We've seen it. We've seen it as far as recent polls on that. Christian Constitutional says less about angry, more about entitlement. Yep. I think the entitlement is like, I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled to stop you from talking, basically. J.A. says, it's hard for me to watch this. Makes me so angry. Our society is crumbling. Yeah, I think it is tough to watch. And for me, we need people with experience, and we need a way to fight the culture battle. That's why I said I do not joke when I say Bryson Gray is one of the most important people to culture right now. Because I can say we need experienced people like Alan West and others, people in the chat, to reach out and not force anybody, but to give another perspective. But we're not reaching them as far as like music and culture and clothing and what's cool or not cool. That's going to be someone else's lane. That's going to be maybe Eric July's lane or Bryson Gray, even Tom McDonald to a certain extent, to show, hey, you don't have to listen to Hollywood. There's another avenue out here. Not that you're going to agree with Bryson Gray on everything, but he could open your eyes. Anomaly, Hotel, all that. Free does not equal freedom. Woo, that's a heavy statement. Yep. Steve Johnson. Yep. Christian Constitutionalist says every conservative must carry guns everywhere. If you're assaulted, use them. Yeah, you know what? Me personally, I'm not a gun guy. That's a last resort, and I would hope that that's not something that you would have to use. But I completely respect the right to A all the way. I mean, that's a significant. We've learned over the last couple of years that is something that we can't lose. A lot of states are going to constitutional carry. Steve Johnson says, I wonder how many are truly of this state mind. I'm hoping that more and more are waking up. When those students leave college, student loans will be inescapable reality. No theater can escape it. Yeah, I think they're a minority. If we look at the population of the U.S., these are the active people on Twitter, social media, on both, here, and those who, like on the YAF side. I don't think that represents more than a quarter of the country, to be honest with you. I'm just putting out numbers. So if that's the case, then there's 75% of the country that could swing either way based on information. And that's what this battle is for, too. The censorship's for not reaching that group. Dina Marie says America is the least racist country. People should travel and they'd see that. Yeah, be careful what you wish for. Every country has a history. And if you want to call America racist, that's fine. But my thing is, how are you going to overcome it? Are you going to move to another country? I don't have time to talk to you wallowing in your oppression. That ain't for me. So go find other people who are depressed and all they want to do is talk about how oppressed they are. That's fine. Go find your group, do that. That won't be for me. It would be more like, how do we overcome? Our ancestors had to overcome to get to where we are now. There's always has to be some type of overcoming. Dina Marie says she concealed carries here in Florida, never leave home without it. Got to be safe. People know that that's happening. You're a lot less likely to see what's happening in California happen in Florida. If you see what's happening in California, man, they're doing stick-ups like it ain't no thing. out there. Proven statistics. There was a headline that said, I believe it was in LA or somewhere in California, they were like, don't wear your jewelry. Don't flash your jewelry like that. They're like, don't wear your jewelry. Otherwise you can get got. Like, that's literally what they said I forgot who gave the announcement. I might have to look it up, but they said, don't wear your jewelry or you're going to get got. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when they have to say, yeah, we can't help you. Just don't do it. So I can't find that real quick, but I believe there was the headline. I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline. Suspicious by nature says, why would you be sorry that she carries a firearm? It's better to have one when it hits the fan. At least you can defend yourself. Absolutely. That's your right. That's why it's in the Constitution. Can we do a collab on my podcast on the 10th? Let me just double check. We're going to do some business here. So Friday. Yeah, so you're talking about Sunday. Yes, Ray Studios. Let's do that. Let's do that. I recently had River on this podcast, did Robbie the Fire Bernstein. So let's set up a time on the 10th, and then we can kind of work that out. I appreciate it. And there was somebody who said they wanted to debate about Trump on here too. So that somebody said that they wanted to debate on Trump, on how evil Trump is or something like that, which is fine. Not really a debate. I think just a discussion. There's no right or wrong. He said, notice they put the black kids in front of the protest. Yeah, there were some white people behind it. Spiderman was in the background and black kids up in the forefront. So thanks. My closing thoughts on this are, I don't know. To me, those are not, I look at this as what is the low-hanging fruit. And before I even get to the low-hanging fruit, the importance of protecting our First Amendment rights on social media is just astronomical. That's why the Elon Musk thing was so important. Because how are you going to reach people? You're not going to reach people on Getter. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. And you can, but it's just not the same. It's more of an echo chamber, which is great. I'm on Getter a lot, but I don't post that much because it's not like the interaction. It's not the same as kind of having echo chambers kind of collide, which happens way more on Twitter. So we have to get the First Amendment digital stuff. If we're silenced on social media, then this conclusion's harder to reach. But the reason why, you might ask, well, why would Alan West do that knowing that it's going to be a big deal protest? It's because if he can reach, I guarantee you, after he was done there was at least one person who saw that and saw the reaction and heard maybe what he said and was like, wow, I don't understand the reaction based on his opinion. Even if you disagree, this is not like some radical guy here. And they might have changed their mind, or they might be open. When I first started listening to or reading, it was more reading back then, Jason Whitlock. It was probably around, he used to fill in for Jim Rome. So this is like maybe in the 90s, late 90s maybe, early 2000s. Jason Whitlock used to fill in on the Jim Rome show. And I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling this, but what I liked is he made me think. So if I had a position and he had a different position, it makes me think, is my position, I'm always open to being wrong. Is my position wrong? And then it took years for me to slowly even get to where I am now. Like, okay, I agree with a lot of this stuff. And Colonel Alan West is a part of that solution. But I think the bigger picture is still the fight for that 75%, those people who are converting over from Democrats to Republicans because they're not feeling what's happening, but they still aren't fully aware. It's reaching them. These children, they've been indoctrinated K through 12. Like, that's not going to be an easy thing to undo. So they're not the low-hanging fruit. I'm not really trying to convince them. I respect Alan West and what he's doing there, but I'm not trying to convince anybody there. That's a hard sell. That's a hard job. I'm more looking at, hey, you might just happen to see me do a video on Kanye West, and then you start listening to the channel and you're open-minded. That's the low-hanging fruit. Those are the ones we have to, in my opinion, try to reach. And that's why mainstream media is still important, even though it doesn't really reach the key demos like it used to. it's still important because what they have is legitimacy. And we've got to kind of break that down to say, nah, like Brian Stelter, I'm playing that clip of Brian Stelter. You think that's legit? You break that down and then people flock away. And then you can recruit more people. Steve Johnson said, it's like Dr. King's nonviolent strat. Yes, but used against the wokesters by just being calm, sensible, and classy. Absolutely. A nonviolent, I agree completely with Dr. King's approach. It's nonviolent. Just like Alan West was very calm talking to the young lady there in the clip. He's pretty calm with them. Sometimes he will get hype with hecklers. But that was a young lady, so he had the right approach there for, a lost young lady or still developing mind, college type student. But he will get not aggressive, but he will go back at people. I've seen that too. But sometimes you need that too. First Amendment absolutists. Only platforms the DNC has is to pass big budgets, hide their donor class projects, and then a bunch gets laundered back into their overseas acts and then fight against any MAGA ideas. Yep, that's all Black Lives Matter was. Their number one goal was to not let Trump run for office again. It's a group called Black Lives Matter. What does that have to do with anything? That's their number one thing. For me, I would never be chanting the phrase Black Lives Matter. I know that they try to separate the phrase from the global, network that's been, pretty much proven to be questionable at best, in my opinion, completely corrupt. I'm not using that term. That term is not needed. It's not a term I need to chant. I'm out on that term. And just because of that, I am not associated with Mark Elias, who's their lawyer now, taking over, trying to help them out. And I'm not doing that. Florida now has more. Yeah, Florida's been going crazy. Dina Marie says, Florida now has more registered Republicans over Democrats. For the first time, I'm still an independent. If the GOP can get rid of the rhinos and warhawks, I might switch to Republicans. Yep. I'm not down with either one of them. There's certain people that I would probably support more than others, like Thomas Massey. Even though I did the video challenging him, maybe no politician's perfect. I would support Marjorie Taylor Greene. Joy Reid tried to paint Marjorie Taylor Greene as a racist and that's her prerogative. But I think the bigger picture is they want to taint Marjorie Taylor Greene with this persona to make sure she's toxic, that you can't, because her ideas resonate with that 75% that's just open-minded. A lot of her ideas would resonate with them if they don't put the stigma of racist, idiot, 17th letter, then people might look at her as a leader. Bishop says, I don't think people who are open-minded are the low-hanging fruit. There's more of us than there are zealots. It's just the zealots are loud. Yeah, if you're walking around, this is the debate we've had. If the 75% outnumber the zealots, but the 75% aren't active, then they're worthless. So if we've got, 12% of people are zombies running through a town, eating people up, and then the 75% of people aren't helping, then they have no purpose. So I guess you could, to be more specific, they need to be activated. And it doesn't take much, writing letters, even just speaking out. Yeah, but they need to be active. If they're not active, they're irrelevant right now. So they voting, whatever it is, they've got to do something. So thanks everybody for stopping by. Just wanted to go over that. Made me think about where we are in the country. But I think we will long term be able to make it through this. And I always say that there's going to be hard times coming. They're making that clear during the midterm election. They wouldn't be talking about that if it weren't clear. And those hard times you're not going to be yelling Black Lives Matter when you can't find bread. Now, I hope it doesn't get that tough, but just to give you a scenario, if you can't find bread for you and your family, like literally you can't find food to eat, you're not yelling Black Lives Matter. I can assure you of that. That's the last thing you're thinking about. So as things get tougher, then things will resolve, I think. Thanks for the super chat. Adina Marie says, keep at it. Osiris, thanks so much. Motivated to keep at it. And grateful that YouTube even gives a platform to still reach whoever you can to talk about this. So I will rail against YouTube a lot, but I would never have chatted with Dina Marie, Bishop, and Sarah, Darren Monier, and everybody else in the chat if it weren't for YouTube. So thanks a lot, everybody, for stopping by. Take care.